Okay, sir.
Hmm.
So it's 3, 2, 1. We are live to the audience. We can start this meeting. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, all, and welcome to Live Pharma Coalition, a global knowledge and networking platform. As you all know, in Live Pharma Coalition, we invite subject matter experts from across the functions like sales and marketing, manufacturing, devices, supply chain to share their views on current challenges and changing dynamics of healthcare industries. In today's episode, LPC 152 is going to touch upon one of the very important element of healthcare, that is the role of devices in healthcare industry. So before going to the session, I would like to give a brief presentation of LPC, Live Pharma Coalition. As all of you know, Live Pharma Coalition, a global knowledge and networking forum for pharma professionals. And we go live on Facebook and YouTube every Sunday, 11 a.m. Week 1 is dedicated to leadership. Week 2, dedicated to global. Week 3, dedicated to marketing. Week 4, academics and manufacturing. And week 5 for women leadership. These are the founder members, Raman Marke, Yashwant Mishra, and ICS Verma. 2.5 years ago, we started this journey of Live Pharma Coalition. And today, there are more than 4,000 members of LPC who are learning and sharing in a global platform. These are some of our mentors and advisors who continuously guide us to take LPC to a global level and suggest us to go ahead with the newer approaches in Live Pharma Coalition. These are our core team members and executives who relentlessly work every Sunday to bring some new speakers, some new topic to you for learning and sharing. These are some of the glimpses of LPC Pharma Ratna Universe Award 2022, where LPC was awarded Healthcare Webinar of the Year. And we give credit to each and everyone for the support. These are some of the glimpses of LPC 100 Conclave at Mumbai, LPC 125 Conclave at Ahmedabad, LPC Conclave 3.0 at SIS College, Navi Mumbai. And as you know, recently we had LPC 150 Conclave, a grand success in Hyderabad. Some of the inventive speakers who graced the occasion in LPC 150 Conclave at Naipur, Hyderabad, where Dr. Chakravarti AVPS, Global Ambassador, World Packaging Congress, Dr. E. Ramkishan, Deputy Drug Controller of India, and Dr. Shashibala Singh, Director of Naipur, Hyderabad. Apart from this, Mr. Devashish Sarkar and many more keynote speakers addressed the event. It was a grand success. And come to today's session. Today's session, as I told, how biomedical devices will revolutionize healthcare sector. And to speak on the topic, we have a subject matter expert, Dr. Swati Chekar, Chairperson, PGDM Biotechnology, SIS School of Business Studies. And along with me, I have co-moderator, ICS Verma sir, who will moderate the session along with me, and two of the student moderators, Omkar Gupta and Harshada Bangar. And both of them are from PS School of Business Studies doing PG Diploma in Pharmaceutical Management. So it is going to be a very, very relevant topic in today's contest, and we are going to get a lot of benefit from this. Apart from this, I would like to thank Imagica Health for their continuous support to live stream our conferences. With that, I would like to hand over to ICS Verma sir to share his view on LPC Conclave 152. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Ashwant, and welcome all to LPC 152, the academic session. We all know that learning is a continuous process, and we at LPC we are dedicated for bringing new topics and new subject matter experts to make that the Indian pharma as a global pharma to flourish and to explore the better opportunities and the new areas in pharmaceuticals. So, and we are very fortunate again, today we have Dr. Swati from SIES College, whom we have had a great interaction during the SIES conclave in Mumbai, and also the students who wanted to actually participate and try to develop their communication and leadership skills. So it's a great opportunity for us in LPC to connect the campuses across India and also bring the pharmaceutical industry, so that it's going to be a seamless connectivity between academia as well as the industry. So coming to today's topic, it's a, we all know that pharmaceuticals, there are many things is happening in India, but very few of us, in spite of even I also know very less about the devices and what is the, especially the bio devices, which is very new topic, and which will be definitely going to be a very good knowledge sharing today. So and I'm looking forward for this exciting session. Thank you, Yashwant.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now I hand over to Harshada Bangar to introduce our today's speaker. Harshada, over to you.
Thank you, Yashwant sir and ICS sir. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank LPC for giving us this opportunity. As students, I think it is very important for us to also get connected to the corporate world, so that when we are stepping into the corporate world, we step in with much more awareness. So for today's panel, we have Dr. Swati Checker. I would like to introduce ma'am. Swati Checker is an assistant professor who teaches for PGDM Biotechnology and Pharmaceutical Management at SIES School of Business Studies. She's also the chairperson for PGDM Biotechnology program. Before getting into academia, ma'am has a vast experience in the research field. She worked as a research associate at BARC, ACT, REC. She did her postdoctoral fellowship from Department of Molecular Medicine, which was at the University of Florida, USA. She worked as an assistant professor at the Department of Biomedical Engineering at MGM in Navi Mumbai. She has done her PhD in Biomedical Engineering from IIT Bombay. And the topic that we have today regarding biomedical devices, we could not have had a better speaker than ma'am, with her vast experience in the field and her postdoc work also in the similar field. So it is a great pleasure to have you today, ma'am, and we would like to hear from you more on this topic. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Harshada, for the lovely introduction. Before I begin with my talk, I would like to extend my thanks to Life Pharma Coalition and members, Yashwant sir and ICS Verma sir, for giving me this opportunity to be a speaker for today's theme, which is how biomedical devices will revolutionize healthcare sector. And in that regard, the topic for my today's talk is impact of biomedical devices in healthcare sector. I'll share my screen. Harshada, you need to stop sharing your screen.
Yes. Harshada, I can stop sharing. Yeah.
Yes.
Now you can share now. Yeah, it's coming. Perfect.
So my screen is visible. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible and it's visible.
Okay. So the topic
Yes.
of my talk is impact of biomedical devices in healthcare sector. So this is the outline of my presentation. So in the healthcare industry, the medical devices play a very important role apart from other components of healthcare industry, which include hospitals, medical tourism, clinical trials, and medical insurance, and all the aspects of healthcare. They form one family, which is called as healthcare industry. And of this biomedical devices play a very important role. So my scope would be mostly on biomedical devices, how innovative they have been and how they have contributed in the healthcare industry. So introduction to biomedical devices, then innovation in biomedical devices, rising demand for biomedical devices, what are the various policies that have been provided from the government for the support of the research and development, the increasing international investments in this regard, and what are the regulatory authorities that are involved in the regulation of biomedical devices. And after that, I'll be talking a little bit about my doctoral work, followed by conclusions. So first, what is a biomedical device? It is a device. It is an instrument. It is an apparatus. It is an appliance. It is a software and an implant material that is used in diagnosis, treatment to prevent and cure various diseases. Now, it is not just one type of biomedical device. They are categorized into various therapeutic devices or to a sophisticated, highly sophisticated computerized medical technologies and diagnostic devices. They also, the core area of research in biomedical devices covers three key areas, which is regenerative medicine, advances in cell therapy, and 3D tissue printing. Below, you can find a picture which shows a 3D printer, and we can see the products of the 3D printer. We can see a 3D printed nose, a 3D printed ear pinna, and here we can see one scaffold, which is a hyaluronic acid-based bone scaffold. Now, this scaffold can be directly implanted into the body for regeneration of bone in case of bone disease or in case of any disease intervention regarding bones. This scaffold or this implant can also be used as a dental implant, but in a different formulation. Now, biomedical devices, how they are developed. It is an interdisciplinary research which results in development of these several devices. One, it is the convergence of information technology and nanotechnology, which is changing medical devices into more smarter devices. Now, in 2006, there was a paper that was submitted by the authors in Nature Biotechnology. And they had identified that how this convergence of information technology and nanotechnology with biotechnology is making or is converting medical devices into more smarter devices. And the best examples are pacemakers and drug delivery system. On the right-hand side, we can see a picture of several drug delivery systems, which includes liposomes, magnetic nanoparticles, nanoshells, nanocapsules, and dendrimers, and even gold nanoparticles. So what do we do with these nanoparticles? So the desired drug is immobilized into these nanoparticles, and they can be directly targeted to the desired tissue or organ. And they are functionalized in such a way that the immunological response is minimized. So when these drug delivery systems are inside the body, the drug is relieved in a sustained and a controlled manner as per the requirement of the body. Below we can see the image of a pacemaker, which is from Boston Scientific, and even pacemakers have evolved throughout these years. Now the pacemakers, they are more lighter in weight. The battery life is much more longer so that patient need not change the battery, and they are MRI safe. So this is how pacemakers have evolved. Now, at present, almost 3 million people are living with pacemakers. And now every year, almost 600,000 pacemakers are being implanted into bradycardia patients. So pacemakers play a very, very important role in healthcare industry. This is one of the most important medical device or biomedical device we can say. Then also biomedical devices are a result of convergence with computer science and information technology for development of human genome project. Also personalized medicine, DNA sequencing based diagnostics, and omics measurement being the latest development. Also, the convergence with chemistry and engineering for immunotherapy, tissue engineering, or regenerative medicine is the latest development in biomedical devices. In immunotherapy, the best example is, not best, probably the latest example is CAR T immunotherapy, where the patient's T cells are isolated and they are genetically engineered and then put back into the patient to treat their own cancer. So it is in a very simple language. I'm trying to explain what is CAR T therapy. It is basically the isolation of leukocytes from the blood sample, and they are genetically engineered and they are put back into the person so that the cancer cells in particular can be targeted. Then in tissue engineering, the patient's own cells are harvested. They are grown in the labs along with the suitable biomaterials, and a new tissue or organ can be formed, and that can be replaced into the body where the diseased organ or diseased tissue has to be replaced. So these biomaterials, they are so interesting. They are natural in origin, they are synthetic in origin, something like collagen or the elastin or chitin. These are some of the natural biomaterials which have been used for the development of these grafts. So we can give a name for these artificial tissues called as grafts. So fabrication of these devices involves the use of biological materials, also called as biomaterials. And in many cases, these biomaterials can be derived from patient's own cells or of an individual. Yeah. Then biomedical devices also include surgical devices, skin devices, cardiovascular and skeletal devices, and tissue grafts, as I mentioned earlier. So in few words, we can say that biomedical devices is a group of all those devices which cover the maximum domains of research. Say, for example, in biotech sector, the products are pharmaceuticals, diagnostics, and R&D tools. Then in information technology, the hardware, software, and communications. Then there are microfluidic devices, which are miniaturized devices also, which include nanosensors, nano electronics, and nano devices. Then we also have proteomics, genomics, transcriptomics, as well as bioinformatics. So all this comes under one big class of biomedical devices, which has the scope of innovation in all these different areas. So that's where we go to our next slide, where we're talking about the innovation in biomedical devices. The techniques and medical devices to correct faulty genetic information is one of the most significant revolution in medicine. Say, for example, in earlier clinical trials, a patient had been successfully treated for sickle cell disease. Sickle cell disease is a genetic disorder, and it has been successfully treated by gene therapy. So what happens in gene therapy? It is basically a gene editing tool that allows scientists to modify DNA and genes, which offer a way to tackle conditions that were previously considered incurable. There are many such genetic disorders that are present today, and they are rare diseases, and gene therapy will really help them in treating these diseases. I am not saying that all genetic diseases can be cured by gene therapy, but the disease can be managed to some extent. But again, gene therapy is an expensive therapy. So we have to, like the research is going on and how to, make gene therapy as one of the treatment modalities. How it can be, it is between the healthcare provider and the patient that whether to go for gene therapy or not. So that is one thing. Then medical devices can now be matched to the exact specifications of a patient by using 3D printing technology. So in my first slide, I had shown a 3D printer. Now, there were only 3 examples I had given, but with this 3D printing technology, whole organ can also be designed. Whole organ can also be made, and it is totally biocompatible. So all these studies that are related to biomaterials, which is biocompatibility and biodegradability in some cases. So all these studies are already done before using it for human use. So therefore, patient-specific dimensions have shown greater acceptance by the body, increased comfort, and positive outcomes. Another innovation in biomedical devices is the drug-device combinations. Say, for example, a smart inhaler, which is connected to a mobile app, and that is used for recording the rate and dosages of use. Then the implantable blood glucose sensors, which are connected with insulin pumps for diabetes management. Say, for example, the one from Medtronic, it's called as Mini MedTM range of insulin pumps. They are attached to the person, and the insulin is released as and when required by the person. So this is one of the great examples of an insulin pump, which is manufactured by Medtronic, and not only Medtronic, even Abbott is there, and many other companies are there who are into manufacturing of these implantable glucose sensors. DDC's market is growing at 8% per year and could reach up to 30% of the total, which is $600 billion medical devices spent by the year 2024. So there is so much scope for growth because of the innovation in the treatment modalities which the biomedical devices offer. Now, here we are left with the question that if there is so much demand in biomedical devices, what are the reasons behind it? So we'll now see what are the reasons for the rising demand for biomedical devices. Now, India is one of the top 20 medical devices market worldwide, and it is the 4th largest market for medical devices in Asia. So Japan is number 1, second, followed by China, and then South Korea. So India is still the 4th largest. The global medical devices market size is expected to reach approximately $865 billion in the year 2030, with a CAGR of 5.5% over the forecast period. The medical devices sector is projected to reach a market of $50 billion by the year 2025. And how can this be made possible? This can be made possible by encouraging research and and development in all the areas of biomedical research. Plus, even the government has given a lot of support even earlier, but for the last couple of years, government has come up with various schemes to support these companies, especially the startups, because the startup ecosystem in India is vibrant. There are many companies like Conshore Medical, Forest Health, Sattva Meditech. So these are all startup companies which are working on many biomedical devices, which can range from orthopedic implants or surgical instruments or implantable devices. So a challenge for the medical devices industry is the cost of manufacturing, lack of adequate infrastructure, and finances are very high. The power supply has to be very strong, and the focus on R&D should be improved. So these all factors would increase India as, like, if now it is the fourth largest, so probably after a few years it will be number one. So that should be the aim for development of biomedical devices. So if we want to take a few questions at this point, we can take up, or we can summarize the presentation till here.
Yes, doctor, we can summarize, I think.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Actually, I also have a question. So you talked about gene therapy that is used. So, ma'am, when we talk about gene therapy, it is still something which is very expensive in India. And it can also be classified in the wellness sector when we talk about healthcare. So what would you like to say about that?
So I feel first the patient compliance is something is very, very important. The therapy, the therapy which the healthcare provider is suggesting. So before going to that therapy, the patient should be comfortable. Okay, the patient should know that what the condition is. Okay, and see, patient, they may not be aware of gene therapy, or the science, or the devices. They may not be, they may be knowing also, but it can be first that the patient has to get some knowledge about what gene therapy is. So before going into gene therapy, there can be some medications that can be provided to the patient. And meanwhile, see, Human Genome Project is already, it's a research that has been going on, and till now we know what are the genes that cause common diseases and what are the genes which are causing one of the rare diseases. So we can discuss, the healthcare provider can discuss with the patient, making it more patient centric, and then gene therapy can be suggested. Like there can be doctors that can be associated with the patient, so that the patient could have knowledge about the therapy, and in what way they can, if suppose a patient is going for the therapy, then in what ways the expenses can be addressed. So all that can be discussed with the doctor as well as the patient. So I feel that since the sickle cell disease, say for example, that has been cured by gene therapy. Okay, so like that, say for example, myasthenia gravis, it's a neurodegenerative disease. So it has, till now, it has no cure. But with gene therapy, there is a possibility to cut that, to replace that gene with a healthy gene. That is one way. Okay, and there are many such rare diseases that can be addressed by gene therapy. So it is becoming a boom in the biomedical devices sector, especially when we talk about rare diseases, because rare diseases in India are few, but they are addressable.
Thank you, ma'am. So from your presentation, we understood what a biomedical device is, and we understood the increasing popularity of drug device systems, the use of biomaterials and biomedical devices in drug delivery system as well. You also talked about gene therapy and its potential branch can be personalized medicine. We can also explore in that field. Talked about rare diseases, which I think when we talk about India as the capital of diabetes, so these are certain diseases which are associated with which we can call as lifestyle disorders and other chronic diseases as well. So I think gene therapy can be very beneficial in these cases. And you also talked about the rising demand for medical devices. India still is the fourth largest country in Asia, but I think we still have a long way to go when it comes to medical devices, because as we know, we only know of very few companies who work in this area as well. And like you said, there is also a lot of lack of awareness in people when it comes to medical devices or gene therapy. So overall, I think we can say that the demand is increasing and the industry is definitely booming. But yes, we definitely have a lot to work on.
Because till now, 86%, more than 86% of the medical devices are being imported from other countries. So, and we have to target that. We still have almost 6,000 medical devices companies in India, and it's not a small number. We do have, but they are like class 1 or class 2 medical devices. There are class 3 medical devices also, which are the high risk devices. But again, we are more dependent because it is that trust factor which comes into picture, because we trust the MNCs, we trust the products or the equipments or the instruments from the MNCs. We know they are the brand. So that is where we have to, that is where our main challenge is. So we have to address that. And I'll be also talking about how this can be addressed to some extent. Any other question you have?
Yes, ma'am. I also have one question. So, since 3D printing is a technology which is used in India, but on what scale does it is it used? Since it's very costly and not everyone can afford it.
So there is a company in IISc which is it's actually a startup. It's called as Avery Biosciences. So it is a startup. It is an Indian startup. It launched an indigenous 3D printer, and they have printed human tissues. So it has already begun. And not only this company, there are many other companies, small companies, who are working on 3D printers. Like if you see, then there are a lot of 3D printers that are available in the market also, but they are all again either from China or either from Japan. So that is one thing. So that can also be done. If we take the 3D printer from other companies and do our own research, that is fine. Plus, indigenous development of 3D printers is another research. So this is one example. You will find many such companies which are startups from IITs like IIT Delhi or IISc. From IISc only, there are 2-3 small Indian startups who are working on 3D printing of tissues or organ as a whole itself.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
If there are any other questions?
So there are few questions from Facebook, ma'am, but that we'll take after your second part of the presentation.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So shall I continue with my presentation then?
Yes, please.
So the rising demand for biomedical devices, the reasons I have already, I will be giving the reasons behind this. So these are the current statistics of the biomedical devices market. So the rising prevalence of chronic disease is one of the very important reasons for the rising demand for these medical devices. Increase in geriatric populations, rising number of medical facilities are again increasing the demand for medical devices. Then public health awareness. Now the public is smarter. They are more aware of what is happening in the healthcare sector. So the increasing population is another reason for rising demand. So to address these demands, the aim of these biomedical device companies is to develop cheaper diagnostic devices, for example, to reduce the overall costs of medical. Then there is an increasing market demand for high quality, low cost and safe biomedical devices. So from the patient's perspective, they will always look for the devices which are definitely high in quality, but also low cost, and definitely safety is one of the very important aspects of the usage of biomedical devices. Now, to address these demands, the government has played a very, very important role by introducing certain policies from the government. So one of them is the production linked incentive scheme that was recently introduced by the government for the domestic manufacturing of the medical devices. Then there was another scheme for pharmaceuticals development in the year 2021, which was in the development of generic drugs in our country. Then collaboration of Indian Council of Medical Research with Indian Institutes of Technology is one of the very important collaboration that has happened under the Make in India project. So ICMRs and IITs is the name given to these collaborations for the product development and commercialization in the medical devices space. It happened in the year 2021. Then government tabled a draft for the new drugs, medical devices and cosmetics bill in the year 2022 to offer thorough legal protection to the medical items or the products that are developed or manufactured by the companies. And there are regulatory bodies also to check these devices to ensure that these items sold in India are reliable, efficient, and up to the required standards. So in this regard, promotion of medical device parks have been set up at various places to strengthen the infrastructure base and develop a robust manufacturing ecosystem for medical devices. Now, as I have talked about the regulatory, how the biomedical devices, they are under strict regulatory rules. So before going into the regulatory aspect, we would see what are the international investments that have been made by the Indian government in collaboration with various MNCs. In this regard, in August 2022, Wipro GE Healthcare collaborated with Boston Scientific to offer comprehensive and cutting-edge cardiac interventional care solutions in India. Then in July 2022, Rajiv Gandhi Cancer Institute and Research Center, they received their first ever made in India made surgical robotic system by a startup, medtech startup, SS Innovations, and the name of that instrument was SSI Mantra. Then in November 2021, Cipla launched Spiro 5, which is India's first spirometer. Spirometer is an instrument that is used to measure the lung capacity. The medical devices sector in India comprises largely multinationals and little and mid-sized companies. Johnson & Johnson is one of the top medical devices companies in India. Medtronic, again, is a global producer of medical devices and therapies such as insulin pumps, pacemakers, and it has introduced cutting-edge products into the industry in the field of biomaterials, which are implants and bone grafts. So it is also the leader in area of implants and bone grafts. Recently, they have launched a surgical robot experience center in Gurugram in Haryana. So these are some of the collaborations that have been made to bring India at par with the international market, to bring India at par with the research and development of medical devices. So now this is the most important aspect of biomedical devices, according to me, because devices, they are categorized into 3 classes as per US FDA, which is class 1, class 2, and class 3. And in India, the devices, the biomedical devices, are classified into class A, B, C, and D. So class D devices are the high risk devices, which are the ones which are implantable devices, which are directly in contact with the human body, the in vivo implants. So all biomaterials and medical devices must fulfill various pharmaceutical regulatory standards to obtain clearance. And the range of processes which they undergo are commercialization. The regulation is in different aspects, in clinical development, for good manufacturing practices, and in post-market surveillance. Why? To safeguard patients and the general public from unsafe goods, while also permitting the rapid introduction of new technologies. In this regard, the Center for Devices Experts in Regulatory Affairs and Radiological Health in USA are in charge of the pre-market approval of these medical devices and also their post-market surveillance. In in high-risk devices, the clinical studies and good clinical practices are more emphasized on to get approval from the FDA, especially for the high-risk devices, to establish their safety and efficacy. In India, biomedical devices and in vitro diagnostics are regulated by the DCGI within the Central Drug Standards Control Organization, which is CDSCO. Its approval is one of the most structured process, just like in the development of a novel drug. What all stages a drug goes from, right from identification of the target molecule to the market, to like the drug comes into the market. So the journey of a drug to the market, it takes around 10 to 15 years approximately. So similarly, even for biomedical devices, the journey is similar. They have to undergo regulatory checks at each and every stage of their development before it is put for human use. So the rules that govern are Indian Medical Device Rules, which was established in 2017, and Medical Devices Amendment Rules, which were established in 2020. So overall, this is the journey of biomedical devices, keeping in mind their research and development, the innovation, and the technical, the technicality which is involved in biomedical sensors from my point of view, that how the biomedical devices can play a major role in the healthcare sector. Since my background is also in biomedical engineering and biotechnology, I would like to talk about my PhD work. So this is the topic of my thesis. It is nano-engineered alginate microspheres towards an optical urea biosensor. I have done my PhD under the guidance of Dr. Rohit Srivastava. He is a professor and head of Department of Biosciences and Bioengineering, IIT Bombay, Powai. So my thesis was on development of a nano-engineered urea biosensor. Why urea? Urea is one of the waste products that are present in our body, but in a certain physiological range, which is 5 to 20 milligram per deciliter. But in disease conditions or other reasons, due to other reasons, this concentration of urea may go up to 60 milligram per deciliter, at which stage it becomes toxic to our body. So the way to remove excess urea is hemodialysis. So the patient has to go for 2 to 3 sessions of hemodialysis session. Several, blood samples have to be taken before dialysis, after dialysis, during dialysis. So that is not very patient compliant. The patient is not comfortable going under needle several times. So our aim was to develop a biosensor that can be integrated along with the hemodialysis machine, where the spent dialysate can be monitored in real time. So that is where we can see how much urea has been removed, and it can be directly compared with the reference method of determining blood urea nitrogen. So these are the gold standard, you can say, the Biostat 1000 urea monitor, which is still used. And there are some clinical analyzers, handheld clinical analyzers also. And now in hospitals and in clinics, there are auto analyzers that are available. So in a single drop of blood, the important components of the blood, CPC, which we do, we get all the information in just a single drop of blood. So that is anyways there. But our aim was to, develop a biosensor that can be integrated along with the hemodialysis system. Why biosensor? Because it is advantageous in terms of portability, it is easy to use, and it can furnish real-time analysis, which may not be possible with other instruments, because again, the blood has to be removed, the blood drop has to be put into the device to see how much urea is currently present in the body. And it also reduces medical costs to some extent, because the number of hemodialysis sessions can be reduced. Say if in one session only, if the estimated urea has been achieved, then the patient need not go for a second or a third session. So in this regard, we used microparticles. So in my earlier slides, I had talked about drug delivery system. So here it is not the drug delivery system, but it is the microparticles made of calcium alginate that have been used to immobilize the urease enzyme. Now, urease enzyme, it converts urea into ammonia in the presence of it converts urea into ammonia in the presence of urease enzyme. So in that reaction, the pH change, the local pH changes. So that is where our transducer part of the biosensor is there, which is the optical sensitive dye. So these are the particles, calcium alginate microparticles that we fabricated in our lab. And the size of these microparticles were 50 to 80 microns. In the next picture, we can see now on top of these particles, we had used a nano engineering technology, which is the layer by layer self-assembly technique. So this is a very user-friendly technique where thin films, like as thin as 10 nanometers, can be deposited without the use of any costly equipments. Okay. And within these nanofilms, the dye molecules have been immobilized, which you can see in the next picture here. So these are the confocal laser scanning microscope images. So it's a highly sensitive and sophisticated microscope, fluorescent microscope. And these are the microparticles, a single microparticle. And you can see that the pH sensitive dye is confined to the nano engineered layers. So the diffusion of the dye was there, but still it was very, very, very less. So the nanofilms were able to hold the dye particles, which are very, very small. And in the next picture, you can see this is the urease enzyme. Urease enzyme has been labeled with a fluorescent dye before being immobilized into the calcium alginate microparticles. So this is a combined picture. So I can say this is the biosensor which we developed in our lab. Then we also did we attached some electronics to these devices. We immobilized these microparticles onto a cuvette, and tubings were attached to a cuvette to make it into a flow cell. So that flow cell was attached to a spectrophotometer, and we really actually studied the spent dialysate samples. Like, this work was done in collaboration with KEM Hospital, from where we procured these spent dialysate solutions, and we actually used the biological sample for studying that how whether the biosensor can determine different urea levels or not. So we achieved, our biosensor, like we did a comparative studies with the reference method, and the correlation was found to be 0.9. So the R square value was 0.988. So, the data that was obtained from the urea biosensor correlated well with the reference method. These are the values of the standard deviation, and p-value is less than 0.001. So that was the correlation that we achieved. And plus we also did modeling studies with 3 patient subjects. So it was a very successful project, and we published 2 to 3 papers during my tenure as PhD. I have presented my work at several international conferences as well as national conferences. So this was, in short, the work that I had done during my PhD. And this is where I come to the end of my presentation. So these are the conclusions for today's topic, which is efficient healthcare ecosystem depends upon the availability of medical personnel and health technologies. Means especially the research and development. The research should be encouraged, should be done, at a faster pace now, at a larger scale now. That is the need for the hour. Biomedical devices are an important component in the healthcare delivery system. They will ensure uniform and quality access to healthcare in every nook and corner of the country, even where physical healthcare and diagnostic facilities are not available. India has already set out an action plan to reduce its dependency on medical devices, technology imports, by introducing several schemes and policies. It is the schemes that have been made available to the various startups, to the various companies for indigenous development of these devices. Promoting indigenous manufacturing of high-tech medical devices, production-linked incentive schemes on medical devices have been developed. Boosting new medical device parks will definitely augment the overall growth of the domestic medical devices market in India. And of course, the collaboration with medical device companies would help our country to become a manufacturing hub for domestic and international markets. So these are some of the references, and more have been shared in the slides as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was indeed a very insightful, and thank you so much for sharing your vast experience and learning with us. I'm sure all the academic students will be benefiting from them. And summarizing your second part, you told us about how the policies of government help the medical devices company to improve, and how their PLI schemes helps in manufacturing of the devices since 2022, and how production link incentives provide pharmaceutical and medical devices sector very helpful aid by the government, and how the ICMR in collaboration with IITs are trying to make new devices and to get more innovative product. And yes, also you covered about how government table a draft for new drugs and medical devices in the new bill of 2022. And you also talked about how international investment helps our Indian investors or Indian startups to grow, and also a foreign-based company, how they cover various aspects of medical devices, how Rajiv Gandhi Cancer Institute and Research Center like brought its first surgical robotic system, and also how regulatory authorities are involved to make this industry a very regulated and a very to maintain the standards of the surgical devices or any other medical devices. And you also thank you for sharing your doctoral work about you have done in IIT Bombay. It was very helpful for us to learn about the urea biosensor and how it application is used. So that's all, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much, both the panelists. Wonderful presentation, ma'am. We have been getting a lot of appreciation from the Facebook and YouTube. I would like to name some of them who have actively participated and appreciated the session. Mr. Sandeep Vidwai is joining from Wokhad. Arumugam Arasan and Pankaj Srivastava. Thank you very much, sir. Then Karthik, then Kushagra Mathur, Bhavik Patil, thank you very much for wonderful. Sudeep Bhaumik, Madhuri Doshi. So we are really grateful to each one of you for appreciating the session and wonderful insight. We got a very good comprehensive knowledge about evolving role of devices. Any question from you, ICS sir?
Yeah, so before actually moving into questions, there were many people joined in YouTube too. So I just would like to, give them the recognition, especially Mr. Karthik Palani. And we have Janardhan Maurya, Sudeep Bhaumik again on YouTube. Okay, so these people have, appreciated the topic that we have chosen, because I think, even though we have done 150 sessions, first time we are addressing the medical devices, especially the biomedical devices. So the people were very excited and they got something new today. So we'd like to appreciate all those who have joined in both Facebook and YouTube. So yeah, so I have questions, but you can take any thing. Then I will have some questions to Dr. Swati.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. So it was a wonderful learning for each one of us, although the topic is very, very new to us pharma people, but
Yes.
Good insights we have got, and it will be benefiting to most people from healthcare sector. Those who cannot watch live, the best part of LPC is our video is already recorded in YouTube and Facebook. So people who are very much interested in understanding more about biomedical devices can log into LPC Live Pharma Coalition on Facebook or YouTube video, and they can watch and comment that. So over to you, Omkar, in case you have some additional questions. Otherwise, we can go ahead with the closing remarks and close. Yes, Omkar, over to you.
Yeah, I have
Sir
some
had
questions.
questions. Yes.
Yeah, so this question to Dr. Swati. Madam, you know that India is considered to be the pharmacy of the world. Okay, especially in the pharmaceuticals, we are the leading, and post-COVID, we have emerged as undisputed leader across the world. And in IT, because I also associate with information technology for more than 7-8 years. India is again one of the most important stakeholder in IT professionals. So if you see in because when I worked with many international my assignments, I always find at least out of 3 there will be one Indian who is in IT. So how do you see the future of biomedicine? Because you said in your presentation that this is powered by IT and nanotechnology. So what is the opportunity for India, whether it can be become a another the leader, and what are the opportunities, especially for India, as we have, younger generation and the IT professionals, as well as the, government support, as also you mentioned that, the government has given many schemes for the new startups. So
Yes.
how do you see this industry in the future? Apart from
Sir, thank you very much for the question. So, so I, as a researcher, would always encourage research to the younger generation, and I would also want to like suggest them that that research can also be done hand in hand with whatever work they are doing. So that is one thing. And regarding your question, so the biomedical devices, say for example in telemedicine, say for example in a doctor can see the say for example ECG report. If the doctor wants to see the ECG report of a patient who is who is probably not able to meet the doctor, inaccessibility is there. So that is where internet plays a very important role, because as far as I know, the internet has been tremendously improved. They're extended to rural areas also. So even through like mobile apps, through phones, the ECG report, for example, can be studied. The doctor can see the ECG report of a patient. So that is where the internet plays a very important role. Then in implantable devices, the devices can report out what is happening inside.
Yeah.
Okay. And that can be controlled through the internet. So they can be programmed. These devices can be pre-programmed before they are being implanted into the body.
Okay.
And the hardware part. So the hardware part is where the role of these biomaterials come into picture. So suppose if a bone graft has to be designed, a bone implant, say for example, a total hip replacement has to be designed. So that is where engineers are required. So that is where the metal, so the TKR consists of various metallic portions also. So there the role of a mechanical engineer comes into picture. So they know the casting, forging, and other techniques to mold the metallic implant. So it is the collaborative work of all these individuals who are working in different areas to contribute to biomedical devices. So that is where the amalgamation of IT and engineering and other areas of science converge to design innovative biomedical devices.
Great.
I hope I have answered
Yes.
your question, sir.
Yes. So just to add to your answer, like the way I'm seeing, because you are from IIT Mumbai, you've done your research, and now you're into a pharmacy college. So this amalgamation or the sharing of knowledge from a different perspective will always makes better outcomes.
Yes.
So, yeah. So
especially the students here, they are from definitely from pharmacy backgrounds. We have like a plethora of students here. They are engineers, they are into basic sciences, they are from biotechnology. So the best part of coming into academics is students are there. So they are the future for everyone. They are the future.
Yes.
Especially in research. So research plays a very important role, not only in performing some experiment in the lab, or going for any instrumentation training. So that is all part of growth. So I always encourage students to read a lot, to do a lot of research in their area of interest. That will not only help in developing themselves in academics, but also they will gain so much of knowledge. And what if innovative ideas, it comes from them, and we are here to do collaborative work. We as in professors, we are here to collaborate with various industries. And I'm still doing my research in biosensors. I have collaboration with a professor who is in an engineering college, not in Mumbai but in other place. So we are doing a collaborative work. We are working on biosensors. So research is a continuous process, and this is the result of research that India can, succeed in developing in the field of biomedical devices. Not only biomedical devices, but in basic research also. During COVID, uh, like who knew that we could have vaccines so early? So that is the efforts of researchers, scientists, industrialists who have worked together to address this situation.
That's very, very much true. I think, this is a very, very important message to all the students. So who are watching this episode, you need to have that inquisitiveness, where you wanted to do. Research doesn't mean that, you will do only PhD. You take one subject, whatever is your interest, apart from your studies, and then, go deep into that, so that you are going to, help or collaborate, because when you are working in an organization, probably you'll get a chance to work with connected devices, or with something which is on, like the way you have done with the KEM college on the dialysis. So to understand that, at least they should have the basics, what is dialysis में होता क्या है, पहले तो वो तो पता होना चाहिए. So to do a research, so you should always have that quality of doing something other than your studies. Okay, marks is important, but you should actually choose whichever is your area of interest and go deep into that, and that will help you. Because now what I have seen the after your presentation, what I realized is pharma is not just making medicine. So pharma is technology, pharma is artificial intelligence, pharma is robotics. So when you are working and when you wanted to work in that kind of industry, then you should at least have those kind of knowledge into know what is happening in AI and what is happening in nanotechnology. So these things will definitely help you to connect with your seniors as well as the scientists in the organization, so that you can contribute to the organization as well as to the society.
Yes, absolutely, sir.
Yeah. And one more question, madam, especially because when I worked and when I meet many doctors during my sales career, so they used to tell that doctor used to have a very, very common complaint is patients don't adhere to the therapy. उसको दिया है, मतलब दवाई दिया है और inhaler दिया है. For example, I've been prescribed inhaler, but I use only when there is a attack, asthma attack or some breathing issue. Otherwise, I will not use it. So, do you see, as you already told that Cipla has launched the spirometry, which is a wireless spirometry. But what about what kind of technology can be used if it is a inhaler? Doctor wants to know how many doses has been used, or maybe patient wanted to just monitor that. So is there any research is going on in this area?
Sir, the research is definitely going on in this area, but I feel that if this inhaler, it is connected to a mobile app, so the data that is recorded in the app can be made accessible to the doctor. Yeah. So the patients who have been getting treated under his this thing, so the doctor can based on the data, they can see what the patient, whether the patient is taking the right dose at the right time or not. Yes. But yes, definitely it is in the hands of the patient to update that information. Say for example, suddenly I remembered the smart watches that we all wear nowadays, right? Yes. So we that has become the integral part of our daily routine. Yes. Because I myself check how many steps I have done, and based on those steps, what is my profile, what is my heart rate, what is my SpO2. So all this information is right here. Similarly, if any information, if I don't give inputs to that software or the app, then the doctor will not be able to know. So it is, as a patient, it is my duty to update the information in
Yes.
the app,
So the patient
so that the
evaluation-
doctor would definitely know that how that if the doctor has prescribed for a specific medicine for a few days, then whether that dose has been taken or not. So that can be monitored in this way. So it is the definitely, from the patient perspective, it would be good if they are more adhered to what the doctor has prescribed. So that is definitely very, very
Yeah, so in this
important.
case, at least doctor will know, okay, he
Yes.
has used, if patient shares the data, well, given the consent of sharing the data
Yes.
seamlessly, maybe an app can be developed where
Yes.
doctor will also have it and patient will have it. So when he goes to the next visit, at least doctor knows he has used only twice in a month.
Yes, yes.
So definitely, probably that's the reason that it has repeated. Matlab,
Yes,
just once again got the same problem.
correct.
Rather than changing the medicine, he will ask him to adapt to the therapy.
Correct.
Abhi kya ho raha hai, doctors immediately change it by thinking that okay, maybe this medicine has not worked, so let me change it to the new medicine,
Right.
because he doesn't have any information right now. He is just believing what the words told by the patient.
Patient, yes.
Now he has a data, so which can be, he can take an informed decision rather than just a guessing.
Correct.
I think there is a lot of scope for these kind of patient, because you also told about this Medtronics ka jo
Insulin pump, implantable glucose sensor.
Yeah. So it senses it and it will pump it. You
Yes.
don't need to
So-
actually realize. Yes, ma'am. So can
So
you
this
just
device is actually it will release insulin as and when required by the body, and the mobile app, the app will give the information. It is 24/7 working, as in at what time your glucose level was high and how much insulin was injected into the body at that time. So these minute information we can get it on our phones. So that is the integration that has been made possible. Like we should this is how diabetes can be managed without any without having any stress in mind that there is an insulin pump with the patient, and he or she should not be worried about its working, because it is 24/7 giving information that is being recorded on the phone, which the doctor or the healthcare provider can continuously see.
I think this is very useful, especially when the patient is a geriatric population. Like,
Yes, absolutely.
he doesn't know he has to take it.
Right.
So when you are healthy, and in 30s, 40s, and 50s, still you can take. You know that I need to take an insulin right now.
Right.
But when the patient develops maybe dementia, so he forgets. So then in those cases, definitely he cannot take it, and that will lead to more complications. So I think these devices will help. Automatically they will provide him the insulin when it is required.
Exactly.
And
And-
you also talked about yes, ma'am. Please continue.
No, I was just adding to it. So such patients, they would always have a help with them in the form of a family member or a nursing assistant would always be there with the person. So that is made sure.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And also maybe the last question from my side, because what I read some of the news or articles of lately. So there is some good research is going on in oncology also, right?
Yes.
So that is on gene therapy or 3D. What exactly is happening?
So immunotherapy is one therapy that I have mentioned in my slides also. It is called as CAR T therapy. Then there is CRISPR therapy that is also very, very popular, where the gene can be, the particular gene can be identified. So identification of gene is very important, because the genes, the DNA is continuously mutating.
Yes.
Okay. And the need to identify the mutated gene is really, challenging part. So identification of that faulty gene and replacing it with the new gene, that is the most challenging part. And in some cases, it may not work also. So if I'm not wrong, we recently had a Nobel Prize given to a scientist for immunotherapy for
Okay.
his research, for his 70 years of research.
Wow, great.
I'm forgetting his name right now. I probably should have remembered his name. So he worked on immunotherapy and he received Nobel Prize in that. And again, CRISPR technology is again a very, very difficult technology, but yes, research is going on for the treatment of cancer. CAR T immunotherapy is there. Then personalized medicine is there. Vaccines for treatment of cancer. That is the newest, addition
Great.
that is being done.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Swati.
Thank
Thanks.
you, sir.
Patiently answering all the questions. Yeah, over to you, Omkar and Harshada.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, ICS sir and Yashwant sir for making this event and giving us an opportunity. We have learned a lot, and I'm sure even Harshada has the same opinion. So,
Yes.
yeah, thank you.
I would also like to thank Yashwant sir, ICS sir, and Swati ma'am. I think ma'am's session was very, there were a lot of insights that we could get from ma'am's session. I think when we are doing pharmaceutical management, we have been always taught that, it is all about innovation and it is all about patient centricity. And I think research and development is all only going to make all of this possible, making the patient journey much more easier. The only answer to this, I think, is innovation. And we understood a lot about medical devices, which I think still is in a very dormant stage in India. And we understood what all research is going on and how government is also focusing on this area and what are the regulatory concerns that we need to focus on. So overall, I think it was a 360-degree knowledge about the medical devices and everything related to the field. So thank you, Swati ma'am, for such an insightful session. And thank you, ICS sir. The questions that you asked gave us more in-depth details about what ma'am was trying to convey.
Thank you. Thank you.
As sir
Swati,
rightly
your closing
mentioned,
remarks. Your
yes, sir.
closing remarks. Yeah.
So as sir rightly mentioned in the beginning that let us make the session more interactive. So I think we have to some extent achieved that. And definitely knowledge sharing is a very, very important aspect of interactive session. And not only from this presentation, but I got to know the views from your side, sir, as well. And what are the developments that are going on in this area in the pharmaceutical development. And it is the collaborative work that will bring a lot of difference in research and development. And a lot of the companies, industries, we need a lot of collaboration with them also.
Yes.
So and definitely government is helping us. There is a scope for writing for proposal grants also. So where the government helps in providing grants to the researchers. So that is another way of improving research and development. And yes, so the research has always been there and it is still going on. And in coming years also, we will definitely have India as #1 country for development of biomedical sensors as well as in other areas. So India has definitely, risen in those areas. And yes, so that's on that positive note, I would like to thank sir and Yashwant, ICS sir, Yashwant sir, and students Omkar and Harshada. Very well coordinated session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thanks,
Thank you, sir.
Omkar and Harshada. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All the best. You can close now. You can
Thank
end
you.
the meeting. Yes. Omkar, you can just end the